Hey, I want to welcome everyone out to the monthly seminar for MGM Association Management. This month we are talking about communication with homeowners, either by the board to the homeowners or homeowner to homeowner communication. And I'm kind of excited to show you just a little bit of information to help maybe the board do a better job of helping the homeowners understand what's going on and help the homeowners understand their responsibility too. I do want to put a plug in for CAI Idaho. For those homeowners who feel like they'd like to be participants in CAI Idaho, you can reach out to our office and ask how to be a member. CAI Idaho is Community Association Institute. It's a national group. Idaho has a chapter here in Idaho, and they have quarterly events that help educate homeowners and board members and help us just be better communities. So if you're interested in that, be sure to reach out to our office and ask us how to be a participant and or a member in Community Association Institute. So today we're going to talk a little bit about communication and ways to better communicate with our homeowners. And when I put these documents up on the screen, these are things that will be available on our website. With the video, you'll see a link that has the documentation that goes along with it. And sometimes these are helpful pieces of information, so we put them up there for you. So the first thing I want to go over is how the association can communicate and present information. Now, when we talk about communication, I'm talking about communication both directions, from homeowners to the board and board members back to the homeowners and homeowner to homeowner. So the communication is really multiple people have responsibility for proper communication. We're going to start with the board members first and talk about some of the responsibilities they have to communicate with homeowners. And one of them is that the board has, as it lines here, a responsibility to communicate with the homeowners, is to make sure that they have access to meeting minutes. They have access to community financials, at least on an annual basis, should be coming with the notices of annual meeting so that the homeowners know what's going on financially in the subdivision, but also keeping those minutes available so they can see what's been going on in the subdivision over the past year. And if your board meets monthly, the homeowner should have the ability to attend those meetings. The sharing part here makes reference to inviting the homeowners to the regular board meetings. And don't confuse letting the homeowners or inviting the homeowners to the meetings, the board meetings, mean that you have to send out an invite for every board meeting, because you don't need to do that. The best method for notifying homeowners of the meetings is to put the next meeting time and location in the minutes when you conclude your current board meeting. So at the end of your board meeting, put our next meeting is 1 month from now at Bob's house at 7 o'clock, or it's 3 months from now over at the Moxie Java at 8 o'clock. Whatever it is that you're doing, just put that across the bottom of your minutes so that homeowners know when if they want to come to the meeting, where it's going to be located so they can attend. And that's part of that sharing portion, just to make sure homeowners know about it. One of the things that seeds doubt in homeowners' minds is when they don't know when the board meetings are being held. If there is board meetings being held, what are they doing in the board meetings? And then you conjure up in your mind all these crazy things that the board's doing and stealing money and all kinds of garbage, when really they're not. They just missed a little tiny piece of doing the minutes and publishing it so the homeowners know where what the association is doing, and it clarifies all kinds of information. This is one of the items, this fellowship. This is one of the items that it's really kind of the board's not really responsibility, but it's something that the board should really be doing to help homeowners understand their responsibility with the communication that needs to be held. If the homeowners participate in social events, community barbecue, Easter egg hunt, holiday decoration contest, those kind of events, they're gonna see that the association is doing more than what they perceive in their mind, which is driving around just telling everybody what they're doing wrong. That's not a good culture to have in your subdivision, where people feel like they're being supervised and watched over versus being an active participant in the association, which jumps right into the involvement part. If you can get the homeowners to participate in a variety of events, and if they take the time to look out for other neighbors and keep that interest alive in that the association really is more than just sending out violation letters and tracking someone down for not paying their dues. And a lot of people, when you say, what does your homeowners association do? That's really what comes to their mind, because the community itself isn't running and functioning properly. And that's all they know about is that, you know, the neighbor got a letter for his RV out, or Mrs. Jones calls every day, complains about the dogs messed in the park, and there's no doggy poo station. And so really all it is a bunch of people complaining and arguing about what needs to be done. When you could turn around and say, here's when our board meetings, we have it every Tuesday, every third Tuesday at 3 o'clock at wherever, and we always meet. And this is the topics when somebody comes with an issue. We communicate well with them to say, hey, look, Mrs. Jones, you have a concern with the dog poo station. Why don't you go out and get the prices on it, help us get that kind of thing installed, and then help us find somebody who's going to make sure that those doggy poo stations are taken care of. And that simple communication would help keep Mrs. Jones happy, keeps the poo off the grass in the common area. Your landscaper doesn't have to charge extra to clean it up, and they don't get it on their machines, and the kids don't step in and bring it home. I mean, all kinds of things can be resolved when you have somebody who has a concern and you involve them and help them by communicating and helping them be included in the discussion. And it makes them feel like their voice is heard and that they're important. And that's that inclusiveness. So, when there's something going on, you make sure that the owners are coming and participating. And when I said earlier on, there's a couple of methods of communication. One is the board to the homeowners, but the homeowners to the board, for those, if there are any homeowners that log on and listen to these podcasts, homeowners have a responsibility to communicate properly also. I mean, a homeowner does not have the right to call into the association and demand the board members go out and pick up the dog poo in the park. That's not an expectation of a volunteer. And that is a symptom of a bad culture in a development when a homeowner would do something like that. And I think that a whole other discussion on a personal basis about how the effects of COVID have really hit communities, but there's a lot of negativity and a lot of pent up frustrations that come out on the phone and the email communication from homeowners to the board or to the association with expectations that are not realistic, and they misunderstand really what the association is all about, and they fail to see the community aspect, and so then they isolate their neighbors. And we're all looking, this next part talks about pride, we're all looking for a good place to call home. We all want to live in a nice neighborhood where all the neighbors get along and communicate well. And so the way to do that is to make sure our homeowners are have communication and know what's going on. So we all want to have this nice place to call home, and we want to have homeowners on the board who are thinking properly and keeping the best interest of the association at heart. So those are some of the things that the board members' responsibilities are to the homeowners, is to make sure they know of an avenue to get minutes. They have an avenue for the sharing, that keep the minutes available so homeowners can see all that information and get them involved in the community when there's an issue that is not favorable or that a homeowner feels is not favorable, that they have a place to go to be heard and to get the problem resolved. So those are some of the things that the board can do. There's a few things. The documentation refers to them as rules of thumb, things that you, and I say you, meaning the board of directors, the community as a entity, the HOA itself. There is good timing for presenting information, and there's bad timing. What I mean by that is, spring is a good time to send out a newsletter. It's a good time to say, hey, springtime, 1st of April, we always see large amounts of dandelions. Be sure you fertilize and weed and feed your lawn. If you haven't done that, be sure to get on it soon. We like to keep the community looking nice, and then remember garbage day and whatever kind of things you want to remind people of. A bad way of doing that would be not sending out a newsletter, but man, cranking out all those violation letters and making sure all 85 homeowners that have dandelions in their yard get this. Even though it says friendly letter, it's a nasty gram, man. It's intended to really embarrass people because that's how they feel. Even though it doesn't say that, it feels like they're being reprimanded. And if I had to choose between getting a newsletter to remind me about fertilizing my lawn and weed and feed versus a violation letter, boy, I take that newsletter all day long. That newsletter also creates a better culture in your subdivision. It creates more of a community, and you can put stuff in there. You can put in there that you have a community event coming up. We're going to have a hot dog barbecue in the park. The association has an idea. The association is going to pay for the hot dogs and bring your favorite condiment and chip and drink, and we'll sit in the park and have a good time. There's a number of things that you can put in that newsletter and communicate in a more positive way. So I think the way in which you communicate and the timing of the information is very important. And just be sure it's a positive way of communicating. Violation letter versus a newsletter. Communicating to homeowners also to know where they can get a copy of their governing documents, reminders of the governing documents and minutes being on the website. It's available for you 24/7. Log on. For those who are clients of MGM, you have an individual client login screen that each individual homeowner has their own account they can look at, but they also have access to the governing documents and meeting minutes so they can keep up to speed on what's happening in the association. And there's a right way to present information. And the violation letters are always a little bit difficult. They're intended to inform homeowners if there's a non-compliant issue on their property. But man, it's difficult for a homeowner to receive one of those letters and think that it's not intended to correct them. Nobody wants to be corrected. Certainly not on an individual letter directed at you as an individual. So those newsletters or a mass mailing of a copy of your covenants in a little workbook or a short form that just kind of goes through the non-compliance issues. Remember, keep your gates closed. RVs have to be parked behind a fence, or dead horses have to be out of the front yard. I don't know what your subdivision rules are, but you would just put a short abbreviated version of what the text says in your CC&Rs to help people read through those and become more familiar with it without having to be bored to death by reading the entire document. I do this as a profession, and I get bored reading through those governing documents because they're not exciting and I don't consider them fun. They are informative so that you know what those regulations stipulate, but they're certainly not enjoyable to just sit down and read. But the basic message of this month's meeting is to go over the methods of communicating with homeowners. So there's at the very beginning of this document, there is let me share my screen really quick. It goes over 9 methods of communicating with members, and they go over the typical methods of communicating. You have email, you have face-to-face, you have just normal mailing, phone calls. So this one's a little difficult, and one other one's pretty difficult. Social media, so there's Facebook, door to door, I think what it's called. There's videos that can be made, and there's audio messages, and that one's a little difficult. GIFs and chat box. Now the chat box, I'll start with the bottom of the list here. Chat box would be difficult because if someone logs into the chat box, someone's got to be manning that, and no one in my mind is going to sit around all day long wanting to engage in chat boxes in the associations. Like, pick up a phone and call me and we can have a discussion and get it done a little bit faster. So a chat box may not be the best way to do it, but those are some of the options that the social media aspect is picking up on. GIFs is what I would consider one of the old rule ideology. But most some associations still have what's considered a welcome committee. And that would be where a gift would come in line. So when there's a new homeowner that moves in, or if the association feels like renters also, they're going to run down and give them a welcome packet. Those welcome packets could have a simple gift from the association, some chocolate pretzels dipped, I don't know, come up with your own ideas. But it would also have in their business cards like, hey, Bob Jones over at 100 Main, he's a plumber. The guy over here is a framer. This guy down here does welding, and sells different products. And you can have a list of what services you can find right in your own community without having to have somebody else come drive across town to do those things. And those gift baskets would be something that your welcome committee could do. And for those clients who are with MGM, we have a report that would tell you what new properties have changed hands in any given month. So we just give you a list of them and tell you who they are. It is a little delayed. It takes, sometimes up to 30 days for the title company to send those communication methods through to us so we can get them updated. The audio, I'm not going to really talk on that one because that was so difficult. You'd have to have all the phone numbers, and everybody has to have voicemail. But there are places that will do that. You can give an audio message and send it off to everybody in your association. I'll leave it at that. The other one is video, which obviously is what we're doing right now. So this gives you a video that enables you to log on to a website and see someone and listen to a message and get most of the information you're looking for. Though it's not interactive, it still gives information. And your association could do that on their website with short little videos of whatever information you're wanting to give to the homeowners. Now, your social media, obviously people are gonna jump that one on the Facebook. Nextdoor is what it's called. There's a number of different types of social media platforms that you can use. I would tell you that Facebook is quite dangerous because it just takes, if you had 80 homeowners on Facebook and then one bad apple like myself jumps on and starts ranting about a topic that I feel is important, but everybody doesn't really want to hear about it. And so the communication is, hey, let's talk about that at the next board meeting. You're invited to come. And that's just not good enough for me. So I continue to rant on the social media. What happens is someone like me was going to run off 60 of those 80 people who had previously gone there to get information. They're going to shut it off because I'm either foul-mouthed or I'm being vulgar or I just won't shut up and won't stop with a topic even though I've been given a resolution. Not to be confused with someone who airs an opinion and doesn't get a response and is told to go away. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to someone who just sits on there, even though they're given a venue for the outlet to come to a meeting and discuss it. They will ruin the pot by just bantering the topic. And then you lose interest of the people who are actually there to get info. So those are some of the things you want to watch out for. And I don't think I'm giving anybody a surprise with social media. That it just takes one bad apple to ruin it for a bunch of people. Picking up the telephone and making phone calls. So board members, if they wanted to, could pick up phone and call homeowners and give them personal information, respond individually, whatever requests that come through. That's a method to communicate. These first three are the ones that are used most. So mass mailing, so sending out newsletters, and obviously violation letters and copies of the statement. Those are all places that you can communicate with homeowners in the mailing platform. Face-to-face is going to be like a social event. You can do a face-to-face by doing a barbecue in the park. You could have invitation to come to the board meetings. That's face-to-face, gives homeowners the ability to come and see who you are, feel like they're being heard. And as a board, you should be hearing what they're saying. So that's a great way for them to do that. And then email. So email is more of an instant communication, a simple reminder, a quick follow-up with something. One that comes to my mind is the pressurized irrigation or your pool. If the pool needs to be closed because of a code brown, somebody's kid messes in the pool, we can send an email out that tells everybody, hey, there's code brown, the pool is shut off, it's going to be down for 24 hours. Pressurized irrigation system, if it's owned by the HOA, we would send out that notification letting homeowners know that the pump went down. It's going to be 2 days before it's fixed, and then we'll send a notice when the pump station comes back up. Those are ways that email is productive. But you can also email your statements, you can email newsletters, you can email just about anything. And those are all good methods for getting information out to homeowners. So the next part of this is really just kind of goes into the nature and the method, or I guess just the good way of communicating is to be genuine. If you're just giving information to get people off your back, you're not giving information that's useful to homeowners, because regardless of what you tell them, if the presentation is just a here you go, now leave me alone, it won't be received properly by homeowners, and I don't think the message is good for the culture of the development either. So just to recap, we would recommend that, first of all, you have open board meetings. Make sure homeowners know when you're having your meetings. That does not mean that you have to notify the homeowners by email. You don't have to send them an email. You don't have to send them a mailer to have your board meetings. I'm just telling you that in your minutes, at the conclusion of your minutes, our next meeting will be held, date, time, and place. That way, if a homeowner wants to know, I want notified when the board's meeting, go look at your minutes. The notification was there at the conclusion of the previous meeting, and you are welcome to see it. It's a public information on the website. You can see it. Newsletter should be available. And of course, that requires a volunteer in the subdivision to put those newsletters together. But it needs to be viable information. Remind people when school starts, everybody needs to slow down. Spring, weed and feed, mow your lawn. Reminders somewhere during the summer to put your recreational vehicles behind the fence and screen them. Don't leave them in the street. It blocks traffic. And tell people why. It's a safety issue. If you leave your RVs parked in the street, cars have to go around it. It's dangerous. A kid's going to get hurt. Is it required? Well, it depends what your governing documents stipulate. And again, it depends on how you present that in your newsletter. The rules say versus, I think it's best if we just protect our youth and put our RVs away so that they're not in danger of being hit by a car. A number of things that you can utilize to keep communication flowing with homeowners. Keep it available on the website, communicate about your board meetings, invite homeowners to come and be heard. If they come in and are heard and address the issue and help them resolve the concern the best you can, is going to create a great culture in your development. It's going to create homeowners to come together and be more apt to have social events. The more social events you have, the closer the homeowners are, the better of community you have. And it comes back to that desire when people are looking for a home, part of the culture of the association will play into that. If they have the information, you go to look at a house, you knock on the neighbor's door and ask, how's the neighborhood? They don't come and say, how's your HOA? But they're gonna say, how's the neighborhood? It's like, yeah, it's great. We have a community event in the summertime and our pool's always full of kids. And we have all these different events going on and we're close to this shopping. And it's a culture. It's a culture. And I know people will argue that on the value of a home, but it's a culture. And if you have to choose between two homes that are equally priced, you're going to go with the place that looks like it's a little more friendly and neighborly, and that makes a big difference. I hope this was helpful. I hope that you found something of value to come and watch this video, and we encourage you to give some input. So if you get a message or a question, you want to send us a message, you can email to mgm@gomgm.com, and that's our email to our office. And we appreciate you attending. And we'll see you next month. Thank you.